about 20 degrees warmer than when we were here last week.
Yes,
it was.
I heard it was cold.
Baltic.
It was cold. Start of the 19th. It's nicely played by Bryce down to third. It's good work from Stonehouse. And they'll get a couple. Just nicely guided away there.
Well, they need all bits of work like that out in the field at the moment. It's got to save every run possible because they're sort of leaking runs at the moment. A few sort of loose balls delivered, and these two are going to chew those up all day long.
Yeah, until sort of the last 2-3 overs, I thought Surrey had done really well, but they're just now beginning to leak a few. Now beginning to leak a few.
We've got to break this partnership. Obviously, Amy Jones. It's nice to be here. Nicely back in sunny Beckenham. It's about 20 degrees. Jones is the key one to get rid of. 69 from 64, but Catherine Bryce, she can hit a big ball too. And if you break this, yes, there's still batting to come, but just try and put the stoppers on the run leaking a bit.
I don't want to put the curse on Amy Jones here, but when you're sort of in this position on a pitch like this, you can sometimes get a little bit ahead of yourself, but as I said to catch you, at the moment it's a nailed on 100 here for Jones and then some.
And that would make England very pleased to see, wouldn't they, coming into the international season?
No, I'm just looking forward to watching her keep wicket. So that's nicely bowled by Moore.
We've got to break this partnership.
By Chatley as well. Moore settled very nicely.
She has, hasn't she? Just straight into her work. That one just sort of skidded on a bit.
Well, that's the thing on here. You know you're not going to get much turn. You know it's a very good pitch to bat on. So you've got to have your variety. We've seen her toss a couple up. We've seen her go a bit quicker as well. This one's tossed up. It's actually a full toss. And Bryce again will feel maybe just missed out a touch there, down to Alice Davison-Richards. Stood up there at mid off on the edge of the circle.
Coming into the international season.
Again, tucked away into the leg side. They're thinking about two. They run the first hard. The sweeper comes up to do the fielding, just a single, and again tidy over from Moore there. Just the 5 off it. 16 for 1. I was saying, what are your thoughts? I'm an old man these days, but these days are magnificent.
Problem is, I have a problem that once I'm in it, that's it. Getting out again is just the most ungainly experience.
But the thing now is they're a bit like cinema chairs. Drinks holder, somewhere for your TV remote.
Yeah, the drinks holder's the perfect addition to it, isn't it? You can actually, I think the best things, I'm talking about drinks holders, are the little inflatable ones that you can get that you take in the pool. Not that I have a pool. You can probably take in the bath, I imagine, too. But it's like a little, no, it's like a little drink holder thing, and it's an inflatable ring, and you just put your cup in it, and then it floats around with you. And I'm like, that's what I need for the bath.
That is very good, isn't it? I didn't know you could get things like that. Got a change of bowling. Danny Gregory. Powered by SSE Energy.
Problem is, I have
so Danny Gregory with her leg spin
just the most ungainly
into the attack to replace Franklin from the Beckenham end. First up, flat delivery, which is turned straight down the ground by Bryce, and we'll get a single.
I don't mind this as a change, actually. They need to try and sort of use their variations in the bowling. That's where they've struggled a little bit at times this season, just taking those wickets and just getting that, putting the pressure on. Their batting has been phenomenal at times. Sorry, we've seen lots of centuries throughout the season so far, but it's just breaking partnerships like this is where they've struggled.
Well, I think you also sort of say to yourselves, we might not take too many wickets today, but it's going to be all about what the total is from the blaze at the end.
Yeah, slow that run scoring. You've got a very comfortable looking Amy Jones now in the 70s. Catherine Bryce just doing what she needs to do, keep her company, rotating the strike, keeping scoring. I don't mind this.
They're laying a platform mode blaze.
Sort of use their variations
in the beautifully timed. I think this will get to the right. It will indeed.
That's magnificent, isn't it, from Catherine Bryce? That is absolute precision placement. Easy enough for me to say.
Well, much like the way you said that, it was precision from Bryce. Very nicely played, and over the boundary rope for 4. And again, doesn't try and overhit. That's the 100 partnership as well. And as I say, they're just laying a really nice base here. Bryce and Jones. You see Davison Richards there having a chat with Danny Gregory about changes in the field. It's tough to defend the boundary ropes here as well.
Magnificent, isn't it?
Because as you just saw there from Bryce,
absolute
as long as you time it and get it in the gap, you're going to get a boundary.
Yeah, and it's been so dry as well recently, hasn't it?
Yeah, we were talking about this, Katya and I, since April, since the start of April. Single here for Bryce. And that does make it tough for the ground staff. Because I think start of April the pitches were dry, and couldn't get anything into the pitches, and now the sun's still out.
I'll never complain about the sun being out. No such thing as too much sun for me.
Absolutely. Although you might if you were sort of piling in for your 8th over and nothing was happening. That's all right from Gregory, because it's defending that mid-wicket boundary. Bowling to her field there. You take that. Jones has moved on to 72 now.
And they've just put in the fielder to plug that gap that Bryce found earlier.
Yeah, just on the edge of the circle at short third. So Bryce has got to think about going somewhere else, and that's nicely bowled by Gregory, because that is straight to short third. So the fielder put that.
I'll never complain about the sun being out.
No such thing as the perfect delivery, and Bryce hits the fielder. Bryce 40, Jones 72.
It must be so satisfying, I always think, as a captain, when you set the field and it just comes off so nicely. A bowler bowls exactly, especially if you take a wicket that kind of way. Bowl to the field, goes out, and you think, you know what, that's my wicket. You feel like that should be written in there somewhere. Yeah. Bowling change, well done, captain.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I think sometimes gets forgotten about is, you always talk about batting in partnerships, don't you? But it's bowling in partnerships as well. And a lot of the time you see someone bowling with someone else, and then they're keeping it tight, and then one of them takes a wicket, and actually it's been the bowler at the other end that has sort of had an assist, I suppose you could put in the score. But yeah, I think if you come up with a plan and it comes off, and in this wonderful world of data and analysis and matchups, all that good stuff. But I still like it when you can see the captain spotted something, wanders across to a bowler. What do you reckon to this? Yeah, let's give it a go, and it comes off. It's fantastic. As Jones will get a single here. There's an aeroplane of some description goes overhead. Helicopter in the blue sky. Helicopter in the blue sky. There you go. Might be one of the Crystal Palace team, or the owner, having just been to the training ground. Nicely bowled again by Moore. Pushed away for a single by Bryce.
Well, having a good season, aren't they, Crystal Palace? They deserve to fly by helicopter.
I was boring everybody with the fact that that's their training ground away to our left.
We got confused a few weeks ago. We found out it's the Beckenham end, because we were calling it the Crystal Palace end.
Yes, the Beckenham end. As the toe end of the bat here from Jones. Hit that straight to Capsey. Now that would have disappointed her. It's nicely bowled again by Moore, because Jones is using her feet, not quite to the pitch of it. Moore dives across and does the fielding off her own bowling. It's good over this, just a couple off it with one ball to go. Very nice stuff.
Yeah, really nice. This is what they need. Build some pressure.
Looking to slog sweep, doesn't really time it, but it beats the dive of Capsey. It will just be a single. That is a terrific over, just the 3 runs off it.
Other matches also going on around the country today. Essex Durham. Essex 115 for 2, just coming over, and Warwickshire playing Lancashire. Lancashire are 92 for 1 in the 19th over.
Yeah, all good starts all around the place.
The wicket to fall there, Eve Jones. Oh, they've had a great time opening.
Emma Lamb in the runs again.
Again, yeah.
This is what they need. Build some pressure.
Quality player. Making the most of batting conditions, I think it's fair to say at the moment. Here's Emma Lamb. Gregory with her second over. Oh, that's a nice shot from Jones. That is a gorgeous shot, because again, just waited on this. It's the hands through extra cover. See this again. Just watch the hands of Amy Jones. There you go. It was thrown up by Gregory, but beautifully tight. And again, not trying to overhit on here. Don't really have to. Just eased away through the gap onto 78. She goes as a single here, out towards cover.
I think that's the thing with Amy Jones, isn't it? You know, you don't think of her as this sort of big bludgeoning kind of player. It's about timing, placement, and using those hands, finding those gaps. And you don't just think she's going to come out and just, you don't look at Amy Jones and go, she's one that's just going to give it a whack. She's a very smart cricketer.
From Jones, that is a gorgeous shot, because again, she's just waited on this. It's the hands.
Playing very nicely at the moment. Single here for Bryce. And they're just ticking this round now. Oh, Bryce and Jones. So yes, the Beckenham end, and that is the Crystal Palace training ground. And then there, that you're seeing on the live stream, when it was first built, I honestly thought it was a supermarket. But it's Crystal Palace's indoor training centre.
I think that's the thing with Amy Jones, isn't it?
Single here, pulled straight down the ground by Jones.
I can see what you mean by the supermarket thing. I was thinking more
Aircraft hangar.
Aircraft hangar, or looks a bit like
Garden centre.
The snow dome in Milton Keynes, when you can go and do indoor skiing.
Yeah,
which when it built, I actually thought you skied on the outside of it, and I was confused why there was never anyone there. I was about 6 at the time, just to.
Indoor skiing.
Yeah, so it's indoor.
Is that any fun, is it?
Well, I think so, but I think it's a bit boring after a while because it's
Not
one
much
slope.
to look at. Although having been skiing once, and I did the grand total of about 5 minutes on the elementary learning.
And not for you?
Oh, no way. Absolutely no fun. But yes, so there you are. That's the indoor training centre for Crystal Palace. Not a garden centre, a supermarket. Oh, outside edge gone. Oh, that's a huge wicket for Danny Gregory. And turn, and Jones goes for 80. Partnership is broken, and that's a nice bit of bowling from Danny Gregory.
Desperately needed that wicket as well, and they've just been building that pressure in the previous over. We talked about it from Kalia Moore, and then the first one going for 4, and there's just building again, dotting up the singles, and Amy Jones just finding that outside edge.
Good to see this again on the replay, because there was definitely I'm just wondering as well whether Jones is trying to run this down to third and touch. Yeah, I think she is, but to be fair to Gregory, has got that one to turn. Nicely bowled, but I think Jones, nobody at slip. He got a short third, big space, and just with the turn, just trying to open the face of the bat. Jones will feel she's left some out there today. Played beautifully for that 80, but we'll feel she's left at least another 80 probably out there.
Yeah, it was there for the taking, really, wasn't it? But it does mean that we have the Bryce sisters together in the middle, which I always like to see. Two of the nicest humans in cricket.
Yeah, it must be a lovely thing to be out there.
I was thinking it's also, if you ever talk to their parents, it's great when they're playing on the same team, except when they're playing against each other in something like the 100, or when they're over in the WBBL, you think, do you have to buy 2 shirts, cut them down the middle and stitch them together?
There is something about when sisters or brothers come up against each other in different teams, though. So, changing bowling, powered by SSE Energy Solutions. Sophia Dunkley, I think.
Yeah, it was
I
there for
think
taking, really, wasn't it?
Surrey are
But
working
yeah,
out that
but you
spin
have
could be
Bryce
the way
sisters
forward here.
together in the middle, which I always
This
like
one's
to see.
pulled away
Two of the nicest humans in cricket.
by Catherine Bryce.
It's a lovely thing to be out there.
I always think it's also
39 for 2. So Catherine Bryce moves on to 47-7 to strike for the first time after that huge wicket of Amy Jones in the last over. But I think
They're very simple about when
Chatley has worked out here that spin could be the way forward. As pushed away, through backward point, they'll get a single.
So, changing
And Bryce gets off the mark with that single.
I like the idea of bringing Dunkley on to bowl.
Dunkley.
Doesn't bowl as much, really, as actually I'd quite like her. I've seen her bowl a few times and really make a difference over in the Fairbreak tournament.
I'll tell you something, it's not often you see two leggies going in tandem. That one was tossed up.
Yeah, she's not quite hit her length just yet here. Dunkley's just working her way in.
From Bryce on to 45.
I think
Sarah Bryce comes back onto strike on 1.
She had a great time down under, Sarah Bryce, with the Sydney Sixers. Helped rescue a few games, actually.
Nice place to spend your winter. Is looking to drive is Bryce. That's nicely bowled by Dunkley. Sarah Bryce there, outside edge beaten.
Doesn't bowl as much.
Chatley,
Really is actually.
nicely
I like her.
taken.
I've seen her bowl a few
I'll tell you what,
times.
actually the
Make a
catch
difference over in the Fairbreak
to
tournament.
get rid of Jones was a good one because there was quite a thick edge on that from Jones on 80. A little shorter this time. And that's pulled away by Sarah Bryce. We'll get a single, moving on to 2.
Length just yet here, Dunkley.
End of this over, Georgie. Cameron
working her
Ponsonby
way
will
in.
be joining you
to 45.
with his copious amounts of stats on
Copious
his laptop.
stats. He's fueled by some strange-looking
Had a
pancake
great
too.
time down under Sarah Bryce
As
with
this
the
one's
Sydney Sixers.
wide outside the off stump and
Rescue a few
is
games,
left
actually.
alone. So wide's the signal, 140 for 2.
Looking to drive is Bryce.
Tidy first over this from
Bowled by
Dunkley.
Dunkley. Sarah Bryce there, outside edge beaten.
Nice ball of it. And it's another one. Wide outside the off stump.
Actually the catch.
Wide signalled once more by James Treadwell.
Quite thick edge on
He knows his ground very well, of course. Former Kent player and England.
the way by Sarah
Well,
Bryce.
this is loopy from Dunkley and driven by Catherine Bryce out towards the sweeper on the cover boundary rope. That's the end of the over. That's the end of me for the time being.
Copious
More
stats.
thoughts from Georgie, and then she'll be joined by Cameron Ponsonby.
Yeah, that wicket of Amy Jones was really crucial for Surrey because she was just racing along, looked very comfortable, taking on anything, didn't mind pace, didn't mind a bit of spin, and worked her way to 80. And she will feel like she's missed out a bit there, but Catherine Bryce still out there, 46 from 52, now being kept company by her sister. I always wonder if there's a sort of, not telepathy as such, as we talk twin telepathy, but whether you need to communicate so much when it's your sister and you've been playing maybe backyard cricket together.
I'm
Since you
still
were whatever
here.
age. Do
I
you play
don't-
backyard cricket in Scotland? Sounds a bit cold if you ask me.
I don't know where he's gone, Cameron. Sort of disappeared. Oh, did he? Oh, gone for it.
That's
Yes.
the end of the over.
So I'll do another
That's the
over.
end of me for the time being.
Yes, that's a very good point from you. Maybe.
They had an
Let's-
indoor
let's-
school that looked like a supermarket, perhaps.
Amy Jones
And
was
also,
really crucial for Surrey because she
as
was
you
just
said,
racing along, looked
would
very
they take a
comfortable, taking
single?
on anything, didn't mind pace, didn't mind a bit of
see
spin.
if there is a big shout of
and
yes,
worked her
because
way to
as you
80.
say,
She does feel
sisters,
like
as this one's
she's
down the
missed
leg
out a bit
side
there, but Catherine
from
Bryce
Gregory,
still out there, 46 from 52,
and
now
Bryce will
being
feel
kept company
she's
by
missed
her
out there,
sister.
just looking to
There's
dink
sort of
it.
Not telepathy as such.
Past Chatley, got nothing on it.
Whether you
Beautifully
need to
taken
communicate so
again.
much
I
when
tell you
it's
what,
your
we're going to be
sister and
treated
playing
today.
maybe backyard cricket
Chatley
together.
and Jones behind the stumps, and I think we'll see a lot of spin. That's nicely played by Bryce. Doesn't miss out the second time. Stonehouse, good work again. Diving away down there. That's a terrific stop. It really is. I think she's got the sleeves for her arms, but I think she may have grazed a knee there. It's a very good bit of fielding.
As you said,
He saved a couple of runs there, and all these runs today will be crucial.
See if there is a big chance.
Great work.
As you say, sisters, as this one's down the leg side from Gregory.
Gregory will appreciate that as well. That's short, that's pulled. This will be 4. Oh, split the gap. Great placement by Bryce. And there's a gentleman sat there who's got the shock of his life.
Shocking, especially with it between his legs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes,
He's glad he was watching. We could just say that. Yeah.
But that's the 50 for Catherine Bryce, that gentleman there. He did very, very well indeed.
That's a terrific stop.
Catherine Bryce moves on to 52 from 55 deliveries. Nicely bowled by Danny Gregory. Again, just gave that one a little bit more air. Good control by Gregory. And that big wicket of Amy Jones. I'm trying to remember the game it was where I saw Danny Gregory bowl one of the best leg breaks I have ever seen.
Oh, really? It's still stuck in there.
Oh, genuinely, I think it was against Middlesex. And this is pulled straight down the ground, and we'll get a single. Not a word of a lie. It must have pitched half a foot outside the leg stump. Perfectly good-looking defensive shot. Just clipped the top of the off stump.
Oh.
Beautiful it was.
What I'd give to bowl something like that.
Absolutely. 149 for 2. This is the final ball of the 24th over. And I'll say it again, at the end of this over, Georgie, you will be joined by Cameron Ponsonby. Yes, as this one's turned out towards the sweeper on the cover boundary rope. There's a diving stop there. And they will pick up.
Is that Rhiannon McDonald-Gay?
Yeah, it's a good bit of work, isn't it? I think again it's just that Gray's knees actually. So 2 off that final ball of the over. Georgie, a few thoughts from you, and then Cameron will be back with you.
He will this time. Well, Catherine Bryce is having a hell of a day. Now 50 on the board, and after being named ICC Women's Player of the Month as well just this morning. I mean, not bad for a Wednesday in, what month are we in? A Wednesday in May. So she's still out there, 53 from 57, being kept company by her sister, and it's going to be another over from Dunkley, who was pretty tidy in her first, and then just a couple of wides creeping in at the end. But leg spin from both ends seems to be working, and they're just slowing that run rate down a bit. It's still up over 6.
Just this morning.
But when Jones and Bryce were racing along, it looked like we're sort of... It's going to be a very, very difficult chase for Surrey, and we do know that batting really is their strongest suit. Welcome, Cam.
Hello, Georgie. Chipped into the leg side. First of all, I want to address justice. Me and Churchy have compared notes, and I was bang on time. I'd never dream of letting
He was just too keen to leave me. He was just trying to escape. It's okay.
First stint on the stream, trying to sneak off early. Unbelievable. Danny bowls once again. That one's a bit shorter. Cut out to Stonehouse on the cover boundary. Stonehouse on the cover boundary. No, it's a rare treat to see Sophia Dunkley bowl. She has been known to bowl in the past. She only sent down 4 overs for the Stars last year. She's going to pull up her international numbers as I speak. That short's pulled. The sweep will do well to cut that off, and she does do well. Keeps it to 1.
I saw her in action with the ball actually over at the Fairbreak tournament. Picked up a 3 for, I remember one game quite clearly, and it was sort of everyone going, wow, where's this come from? And well, she can bowl, she just doesn't do it as much as we think.
It's beautifully bowled there, looped onto a length and prodded to White Hodge at cut. Do you want to have a guess at how many international wickets Dunks has?
Oof. Single figures.
Yep.
2.
Saw her in action.
Georgie,
Is it?
well done.
Yes!
Exactly 2.
Happy days.
1 T20 wicket, 1 ODI wicket.
Oh, I couldn't tell you who they were though.
I tell you what, if I'm her, I'm a bit frustrated, if not furious. I haven't been given more of a bowl in ODIs. She's only bowled 3 balls in ODI cricket. A best of 1 for 1.
So are we saying that that was the end of an innings?
You know what? We've come this far. Let's keep looking.
It must have been.
Right, at the halfway point of the innings, at the end of the 25th over, the score was 156 for 2. Baby taking centre stage as it should. Catherine Bryce on 56. She's out the crease with her sister, 6 off 7. And everyone's going to have a quick break for a drink. And while they have a break for a drink, I'm going to do some investigating.
Oh, yes.
The end of an inning.
Okay, that's me having the worst day ever. But then I saw them and I knew my besties were both going through it, and that's when I had an idea. That's OT. The socials are having him right now. But not for long. Hey, look at him go. Go, bestie. And that's Chico, certified stress girly. And hey, hear me out, goated producer. So we get to the spot, and what do these guys do? And just like that, I was having the best day ever. Sharing a Coke with my faves. Who will you share a Coke with?
Shakira Selman gone for 3.
There you go.
To round off a 142-run win.
Well, there's one more ODI wicket than I'm ever going to get.
Of course, England are going to play the West Indies. Well, new era kicks off a week tomorrow.
That squad's imminent.
A week today begins. I think we are going to have some. We're hoping, expecting it to be announced. Well, probably whilst we're on air at some point today.
Breaking news.
Goodness me. Everyone will be tuning into the Surrey live stream to get live reaction from Georgie Heath, Catcher Whitney, Mark Church. Not from me. I won't do anything.
No, you keep stum.
Exactly.
Which is actually a fantastic word that I'm going to start using more in my life. Keep stum.
I think it's a sound that kind of encapsulates what it's trying to say.
What is that? It's not onomatopoeia, is it? Is that when the word sounds like the...
No.
Look,
of all the things I fear talking about on live commentary,
the English language.
It's the English language and the lack of words I actually know.
Yeah.
Second only to Daniel Norcross, who's now betrayed us.
He has, yeah.
Working,
He's ventured across the terrace.
He's working for the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC. I've never heard of those guys. But he's chatting away with Henry.
We'll see him in the car park afterwards.
Exactly. But occasionally on the Surrey live stream, Daniel will test you either by talking about kind of ancient Greek philosophers or darts checkouts. It makes me realise I'll be very bad at Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, because under pressure I cannot work out how to get down from 127. 19 takes you down to 70. 20 ball. There we go. And it's good Daniel's not here. If you ask me,
You'd be nervous.
nervous.
Yeah. Or he brings up someone who played for Surrey before the war or something.
And preface it with, of course. He goes, of course.
And you're like, oh yes, of course. I actually was reading about him before I went to bed.
How have your travels of the country been? You've been kind of seeing a lot of county cricket.
Yes. Where was I? Where have I been? I've been to Sussex since I was last here. And over at Northampton. So just sit here, there and everywhere. Back at Sussex tomorrow and on Sunday for a T10 disability competition.
Oh, lovely.
Which will be an interesting one. Yeah.
So that's down in Hove.
Yes, on Sunday.
So what's the format of that day? How's that day come to be?
Someone gave me a call, said let's get involved, and I said yes, this will be great. No, I think that it's sort of the first of its kind of really putting disability cricket in, it's all the big dogs in one place, basically. Sure. So actually getting to put it on display, and it'll be really exciting actually, T10 format. So yeah, looking forward to that one down there.
Well, you were witness to a moment in history recently down in Sussex. I'm sorry to put you on the spot like this, where a player was timed out.
Yes.
And absolutely no one knew what was going on.
Yes, ourselves included in the commentary box. There was no communication, but the player, she came out and she had just taken guard, and she looked up, and the umpire was just standing there with her finger up, made no noise whatsoever. She'd just been standing there like this while this player was taking guard, and she looked up, and went, oh, and off she went again. And and it happened to be also off the last ball of the game, which had also been a wide. So the previous one, someone had been stumped up a wide, so gone. So this player had been like, oh, last ball, and then there'd been a bit of confusion. It's a wide, you've got to go, you know, wickets still happen, and there's still another one. So she'd obviously tried to find all her stuff, come out to the middle, and then
taking too long in the process.
Obviously didn't need her kit anyway because she was timed out, and off she went.
It is a wonderful video. A friend and colleague of ours, Nick Friend, at the Cricketer, has screen recorded it and is sending it to, I think, everyone he's ever
He can
spoken
actually do
to.
it word for word.
It is a genuinely wonderful picture where the batter looks up to take her guard and just is greeted with a finger in the air.
Honestly, it was...
And off she has to go. Right, we have a bowling change powered by SSE Energy Solutions. Rihanna McDonald-Gay is returning to the attack from the Beckenham end. That was a remarkable amount of drama. That was, of course, in the T20 County Cup, where Surrey are in action for the first time this weekend against Hampshire. This is the kind of the rebirth of cricket's FA Cup, as it were.
Oh, I love it. I'm just waiting for a giant slaying.
Again, McDonald-Gay just sneaks one down the leg side. So it's very similar to kind of the traditional men's FA Cup where the big teams enter in round 3.
Yes.
And so Surrey are actually the only Tier 1, all Tier 1 round 3 fixture. So basically someone is going to have to get knocked out. Whereas the Blaze, I believe, are playing Oxfordshire.
Yes.
So that's where your kind of giant killing could happen. Another wide ball. You grimaced when I said that.
I feel cricket is much... I did harder to find giant slaying in cricket than in football.
Yes, because I think, weirdly, this is an incredibly dull explanation of it. There's just more points. More points are scored.
You could just score, you can just get a penalty and happen to, you know, in football. But cricket, there's a lot around. And
McDonald-Gay just losing her line here. It's the third ball in a row that's snuck down leg side. But it's why kind of football, it's one of the reasons people think football is so popular, is because it's the most high variance sport, because one goal changes, one score, 1 point changes the result of the game, whereas with cricket you're going to have, well, today we're likely to have 2 scores north of 300, so there's a continued exercise where people are having to do the skill.
You just score, you can just get a penalty,
Then the likelihood of a shot is lessened. Beautifully fielded by Davison Richards. A bit of a hero dive, but we'll credit her for it nonetheless.
It's one of the reasons people think football is so popular, is because it's the most high variance sport, because one goal changes, one score, 1 point changes the...
I'm also on Snack Watch down in front of us. There's a good array going on.
Likely to have 2 scores north of 300. So there's
Appeal for LBW. That's sneaking down the leg side. It's a tough ask for McDonald-Gay to get Sue Redfern to agree for that one, where after 3 balls have just gone down the leg side, she thinks, I know where these balls have been going.
Yeah, gonna need a 5th stump almost for that one.
If McDonald-Gay is trying to angle the ball into stump, she has 5 fielders on the leg side. It's a very unusual field for a seam bowler to bowl to. It's more
Clipped into leg side region, fielded by Phoebe Franklin.
Well, you know what? Wides aside, great over this from Rihanna McDonald-Gay.
It might be the future, if this is the line that's working for her. And you can also, there's such thing as a good miss and a bad miss. And if McDonald-Gay is trying to angle the ball into stump, she has 5 fielders on the leg side.
Having said all of that, we now see Phoebe Franklin.
It's a very unusual field for a seam bowler to bowl to. It's more associated with an off spinner where you have mid-off cover point out on the boundary, backward point, mid-on, mid-wicket in the ring, and 3 fielders protecting the leg side boundary. McDonald-Gay is deliberately trying to bowl incredibly leg side, and so if the ball does sneak down past the pads, that's okay. She's missing in the right direction. It's better than a kind of loose half volley outside off. Having said all of that, we now see Phoebe Franklin scampering across to plug that gap, that backward point. I wouldn't be surprised to see if the same line here is bowled. Catherine Bryce takes the single into the leg side for an easy one. Bowled! straight through. The plan does work. And McDonald Gay picks up another crucial wicket for Surrey, who have been excellent in these last 5 to 10 overs. Bryce has to go for 56, 159 for 3.
Well, look at that for an over. Starts off with 3 wides and then just backs it up, dot, 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 and then the pressure building, and finally just finds that straighter line and gets rid of a dangerous player, 56. So that means that Sarah Bryce is out there in single figures and should be joined by a new batter. And this is just what Surrey needed to slow down that run scoring and then start taking wickets.
Sneaking through the defence of Bryce. Maybe too much credit to the kind of mastermind of Kira Chatley, but whether the moving of that field from mid-wicket over to backward point has encouraged Bryce to kind of close the back face on that ball a little bit more than she would have done, looking for that one run, sneaking the ball through and crashing into middle stump. It's a crucial wicket for Surrey, who have done ever so well here to remove both set batters in Jones for 80 and McDonald Gay, and Catherine Bryce for 56. 2 set batters through quality pieces of bowling. Neither batter has given it away there. They've been got out, as it were. Remember us going through the variations of getting out and getting got out.
Getting gotted out. Gotted is definitely not the word.
But the result of it is Georgia Elwis comes to the crease. 2 new batters here for Surrey. It looks like we're going to have a bowling change. Kalia Moore is going to return to the attack from the city end. All Surrey bowling changes are powered by SSE Energy Solutions. It's a crucial part of the game here, Surrey, who, if they sneak a couple more wickets, consider themselves well on top. And that's wide of off stump, guided down to the 3rd man area, and that's 4. It's so quick, the outfield today. That ball has really not picked up much more above about 10 miles an hour, but it's enough to run away to the boundary's edge.
Well, it's absolute carbon copy of the shot her sister played at the other end just a couple of overs ago. From Sarah Bryce, she moves into double figures.
Tucked into the leg side. Bryce will pick up a single. I was out at the Women's World Cup in October in the UAE and was there for Scotland's first World Cup match. It was against Bangladesh in Sharjah. It was about 40 degrees, and Sarah Bryce was on the pitch for every ball. She kept wicket and then she batted through the innings. I remember talking to her afterwards, and she explained that she got goosebumps twice. Once when the anthems were playing, and once when 40 degrees under the helmet she started to get goosebumps again, and that was more of a health issue. Elwis paddle sweeps immediately, gets off the mark. She might be able to scamper back for 2, decides against it, and it was suffocating and stifling, the heat that day. And there was a Scotland player who I never actually found out the identity of. They kept her anonymous, who did throw up on the outfield.
Ooh.
And they said she was able to kind of catch it in her arm.
I don't think that's where I was expecting you to go with that one, but thank you for that visual.
It was very exciting. They actually lost that match narrowly to Bangladesh, but it was amazing talking to a number of the players within the Scotland setup, and just how quickly women's cricket in the country had risen, as it were, or accelerated. And they had a wonderful kind of memento, that they have this flag that they carry around with them. The Scottish flag, I hasten to add. I don't know why it'd be any other flag. And everyone who's ever played for the country has signed it.
Oh, wow.
Cut firmly away. Stonehouse on the boundary. Brings it to a close to 27th over. 8 runs off that over from Moore. Scores 167 for 3. Because Scotland only played their first Women's International around just over 20 years ago, I think at the turn of the century. The photographers hard at work, sending off the files to where they need to be.
I remember keeping up with their qualification for this World Cup, trying to keep up with all the global qualifiers, and when they knew they'd made it and then they were going into the final to play, who was that? The UAE? No,
very possibly.
What team in the final? Was it Sri Lanka?
You're testing me.
Anyway, but they knew they'd already qualified, but there was also this, then they also knew who would go into which group at the World Cup, which I think is a very strange one to tell them beforehand, because there was this sort of group of death,
Yeah.
it was known as, that if you won the final, you would end up in.
Where they need to be. Donaldgate persisting.
It was Sri Lanka in that final, because they'd beaten Ireland to get themselves there. So broken
This
Irish
makes sense
hearts.
because Ireland didn't make it to the World Cup, but Sri Lanka and Scotland did.
There you go. But I think it's a very interesting concept, obviously looking at the future of cricket, coming back into the Olympics for 28. You know, obviously play as Great Britain rather than England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland.
Tucked away for one. McDonald Gay persisting with this very straight plan. They have kind of diluted this a little bit by going to a 5-4 field rather than 4-5. That had been in place previously. But it was, sorry, continue with the